Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at this JVC unit. It's a 9415 LSB from the 1970s and it's a radio cassette player, as you can see here. So we've got the long wave, medium wave, short wave and indeed the FM, and then we've got the cassette recorder that plays type 1 and indeed you can see from the door there type 2 chrome tapes as well. Now I did the unboxing video for this, so do go and check that one out. In fact, there's a bit of a story, so I'll put that to one side. I've got another one here. Now, this particular one I've had quite a long time. It was badly damaged in transit. In fact, I'll just pan out so you can see them a little bit. And one of these was quite badly damaged in transit, as I say, and it was basically smashed. The handle was broken and not terribly great condition. You can see that one sort of wobbling around there, and also I think the aerial comes out of this as well, so all a bit of a mess really. It's a bit of a shame because if you look at the tuning window you'll see that the needle actually does work on it, and it does, the dial cord is attached, but unfortunately the tape does not work on this one. You can hear the motor running but it's not working well at all. It's just, there's no drive or anything like that. So I managed to get hold of another one, and this particular one kind of has the opposite problem. The mechanism works, the belts, I don't know how good they are, but they are actually operating the spindles, which is great. The problem I've got with it is that the actual tuning knob here does not influence the needle at all and does not actually tune in. Now I can hear when I plugged it in, I can hear that it's got radio reception on pretty much all wavelengths actually, but obviously I can't tune in a station because the dial cord's not attached. So I'm sort of thinking, well, this one's got a good case on it and the aerial is intact. This one's got a broken case and a broken aerial. The radio works on this one but not on this one. The tape player works on this one but not on this one. So I think what I'm going to do today is basically make the best one out of two and then service it. So we'll get a look at the mech, we'll service the mechanism, replace the belt or belts, and then we may even get on for repairing the second one and restringing the dial cord and all that sort of stuff, but we might do that at a later date. But basically, as I say, go and check out the unboxing video where I did a proper appraisal and plugged this in and tested it. But for now, I think the first thing is just to start cracking them open, see if we can start stripping out some of the parts. So the first thing I think is to familiarise ourselves with the unit, and given that this one's got the damaged casing anyway and a damaged aerial, I think what we'll do is we'll get this one open and see if we can get the innards out, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I think is to probably remove the knobs like so, and the tuning knob as well. Now I've not had one of these apart before, so we're all going to learn this together. I don't know if the mixing, there's a mixing switch on the side which I didn't mention at the beginning, but basically you can plug your microphones in there and you can dial in the volume of the mic compared to whatever's going through your record playback or your tape or your radio. So that's quite a nice little thing, but I think we can leave that on that board for a minute. So let's see what we've got then. Various bits and pieces in here. Okay, there's a broken stud in there and the old belt. So okay, we'll put all that to one side for a minute. Battery contacts don't look too bad, incidentally. There is a bit of green, a bit of corrosion on the spring just there, but they will clean up. I'm quite confident we'd get it running off batteries if we wanted to. So I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the back casing. We'll get them out, and it should just be probably attached by the antenna cables on the inside and maybe the battery connectors to the main board. So let's get it apart, see what we've got. Alright, and I think where that was damaged, 2 of the screws are missing. I think one of them was in that bag as well anyway. And yeah, there's a mounting post that's snapped off inside, I think. So let's have a look at this. Right, what have we got then? Just going to see what we've got. I expect the handle will probably fall off in a moment. Right, so we've got the negative terminal from the battery compartment that comes off just there. We've got the antenna just there. Okay, and there's your positive is attached just there. Okay, so on this particular unit, only the aerial, the FM antenna is attached to the back casing just there. The rest of them are soldered actually onto the board, so that's where we hook up our auxiliary supply if we need to. Good stuff. So okie dokie, just got to remember what's what on this one. So the radio works, we know that. The tape deck does not work on this one, if I remember rightly. So okay, well, I'm just going to double check that, and what I'm going to be using for the purposes of this is an auxiliary power supply. Now this one tells us on the back that it's 6 volts DC, so I'm going to just plug in 6 volts real quick into the back of here, just double check or triple check that I'm removing the right parts. Alrighty, so just going to attach 6 volts, if I can, to these tiniest little crocodile clips. It's going to be our best way of doing it, I think. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this handle first because it's more trouble than it's worth, I think. Basically, one of the mounting screws for the handle has broken off. There we go. So by removing that, we're not tempted to move it around and drop it afterwards. So, radio is there. That's the one that the tuner works on. And the tape, if we press play, what's happening? Okay, I can see that the motor's turning. In fact, let me just stop it a minute. I'll just put a little witness mark on there, and as I press play, you'll see that turn. There she is. That's gone. Good. So it's turning, but I don't think it's strong enough to operate the drive. In fact, I can see the flywheel turning there, but hang on. So fast forward, rewind, play. Now it's just started working, would you believe? Okay. Alright, well, that's handy. Not terribly strongly though, I would imagine. I'm pretty sure that belt's probably seen better days. So I think this might make this thing slightly easier for us today. I think what we'll do is probably just gut the innards of this whole thing, service the mech, and put it into the new chassis, and that might do us, I think. So first things first then, which screws go where? I'm going to take some quick photographs, and then we'll know where everything came from at least, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I've just taken a few photos real quick, because it does seem like the mech may be held in by little clips or something, which are screwed down. So yeah, I'm not sure quite what's attached to where, so I'm just going to remove some of these screws a minute. Of course, this is slightly inaccurate in some respects, insofar as because it was dropped and broken, some of the screws and mountings may not actually be in the right place anyway. So we've got a little screw that's just come out from the motor mount just there. There's a little machine screw that's come out of the top corner. So what else? I'm a bit concerned insofar as there's a, yeah, does all this come away? I'm just talking to myself now, but basically there's screws inside here and the spring for the door mechanism, but I don't know how much of that is attached to the actual cassette mech. It's hard to tell. I think I'm going to go for it. I think I'm going to go for it and take these two clips away. Could be totally wrong, but they may well be retaining the cassette mech. They're certainly going to be fiddly to get back in, I'll give them that. No, my luck, they're probably holding the door on or something. Let's have a look. Right, okay, well that hasn't helped. That hasn't helped at all. In fact, do you know what? There are screws in the corner, and I think we might be able to get the whole chassis out. Whether that will help us at all, I don't know, but let's have a look. Right. Okay, there's one here that the power cables go around, and there's a little cable tie just there. Right, so those are the bottom three. What else? See, there's a screw down there, but that's right underneath the ferrite rod antenna. Gosh, that's a bit of a... Do I want to really take that one out? Ooh. Okay. See, there's another one here as well. See, sometimes it can be easier just to get rid of the whole chassis. Right, well, I'm just having a look around, and I think I found one just here as well. So you shouldn't normally need to get the radio and cassette board away with the radio should be a separate board to the cassette mech and the amplifier. They don't normally have to come out at the same time unless you want them to. Right, okay, well, let's unplug this multi-plug a minute. Come on. There we go. Now, we'll probably be attached by speakers and everything else, so we might have to be a bit careful. Right, okay, there we go. Good. So there's your cassette mech. We'll come in for a proper look in a moment, but a cursory inspection tends to suggest that that looks very nice and clean in there, to be honest with you. It looks really good, happy with that. So I reckon we can use that, really. Right, so what do we need to get rid of? Let's have a look. I'd suggest... okay, the speakers for a start are tying us right in. So I think we'll desolder the speaker cables, and probably, if I'm honest, I think these power leads can come away. They can stay probably in the chassis for a moment, so we can take these two away, take the speakers away. Then what does that give us? I think we'll go from there, and then we might need to just take the radio stage out separately as well. Bearing in mind, of course, we do want to take this radio section out, so just going to take a couple more photos just to be on the safe side. As I say, it's been a bit of a messy takeout because some of the mounting points are broken, snapped or missing, so it's not as obvious as it may at first appear. But what I think I'll do is get this as safely away as I can to work on the cassette mech, and then we'll hopefully be able to get this radio board out as a separate entity. So I'm going to go and warm up the soldering iron, mark up a few of the leads so we know where they go back afterwards. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we've got the main supply positive and negative just there. What else have we got? We've got the speaker positive is there. The speaker negative is up there. Let's just get those away quick first. Right, that's the power away. and hopefully, yep, that's the speaker away. What else have we got? Okay. Now I may or may not need to get all of these away. I'm just thinking because the radio board. Do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to take this one away as well. This is going to be fun, isn't it? Gosh. Okay, so we've got the red one that comes from the radio board just here. So the power supply. So this one is down there. Okay, so that's that one and that one. And what else? We've got the green one. Okay, right. Okay, so it's whether we want to take this all apart or not. I think perhaps we will. I'm going to take a couple more photos, I think, and then we'll be back in a second. I've just taken a few more pictures and put a bit of tape as well on these, because some of these ones come from the radio board. Very tight though, they're kind of doubled back on themselves, and it's almost impossible to... Let's have a look. There we go. Bit of a nightmare really. Right, okay. And there's so many wires here, so many cables. You got what you don't burn. You know, what you don't burn them. Right. I think that's everything now. So be very careful. That one's away. I'm just going to loosen up this cable tie after all. That one's away. That one's away. Right, okay, good. So that gives us two things. Firstly, it gives us the actual mechanism with the amp board. So we've got all of that here, and we can split this out separately, remove this circuit board, gets us to the other side of the mech. We can service that, clean everything on that side, replace the belt. Yeah, it looks pretty good under there. And obviously this side we can refresh the idlers, put some rubber renew on there if we need to against the brakes, clean the capstan. Although it looks nice, the heads look okay, pinch roller looks good. So yeah, this is just going to be a bit of a clean and a general service. But look at the quality, it's beautiful old steel. It's fantastic. It really is a solid piece of kit, really heavy. You know, I say inverted commas just for a little mono tape player. But anyway, this side we've got the radio board just here, obviously the power supply, the speaker, and yeah, so we're making some progress. Right, so the next stage then, I would suggest get this board out, the radio board, and it's all got to come out wholesale. So I just need to figure out where it's being held on, and to that end, yeah, see that's broken as well, that's snapped. The actual stud underneath has snapped, so I've got to try and hold that while I unscrew this. Come on, that's it. Right, there's a screw. And which other ones? Which other ones? It can be hard sometimes to know which ones need to come away, but we'll give it a go. Sometimes they're clearly marked, other times less so. There are two screws there, of course, but they're not necessarily relating to the mech. What's that held on by? Well, there's one there. Although that's got some wax on it, so is that... Well, I don't know, it feels looser. Feels looser. Come on. Okay, so that's the longer screw that goes in there. This may or may not have worked. Ah, okay. Now we do need to remove this one as well. Cool. Fun and games. Right, what does that give us? I'd like to think that everything is... Ah, of course, now we're still... Right, okay, we've got the capacitor now. There's a capacitor onto the speaker. So, again, I think I'll... Ooh, which is the best way to get this off? I'll do it from here, for now. There we go. Right. Come on. Don't tell me I've got to get the speaker off and everything as well. No? Okay, good. Right. Aha! Right, you are. Okay, so, what do we do? First thing then, now let's take a look at the radio board. So, here is obviously the radio board here. The ferrite antenna and the tuning cord, tuning dial arrangement, and as you can see it works on this one. Now yeah, I was just thinking, well, that's okay, we're allowed to turn this now because it's all one unit, so it's already sort of pre-tuned as it were. Sometimes part of it will be embedded in the case and part of it will be actually on the board, so you've got to make sure you keep them lined up correctly. But yeah, that's okay. So that shows us how the actual mechanism works, because we may need to redo the other one at some point, so that's quite handy. Anyway, there's the radio board, so we'll keep him safe. So then this side then, yep, here are the cables that came through to the board from your condenser mic and indeed your little meter there, your battery strength indicator. There we go. So that was those three that came through. Obviously the green one was your condenser mic there with your sheath there, your earth and your positive, and the red and black ones are for your battery meter. And of course we had the red and black battery leads here for your mains or your DC voltage to the board, and then of course you've got your positive and negative speakers plus that cap then that goes onto the shield on the radio board just in there. Right, I know a lot of this is sounding like I'm just wittering here, but I'm just kind of getting it straight in my own head because it was a bit of a mess and there are broken bits of plastic and posts and stuff, so some of the screws won't necessarily be where they were supposed to be. But yeah, anyway, good news is so far so good. Now we know there wasn't a problem with the power supply on the other one or indeed the speaker, so I'm going to leave those in that case. Basically have a bit of a tidy up here I think for 5 minutes, and then it should be a case of stripping down the other one and kind of doing the same, because I think what I want to do there is put the parts from this machine into the other one. Oof. With me so far? Good stuff. Right, we'll have a quick tidy up, back in a moment. Okay, well I've had a bit of a tidy up, so I'm going to do the same thing again with this one now. Now just to remember, this is the one that's got the broken dial cord and isn't tuning at all. Although the tape player does work, the casing is in generally good condition, the aerial is intact. So yeah, let's just do the same again. Get this one open and start making the best of a bad lot. Right, so basically just doing the same again here and desoldering these connections, but interestingly I've just found something which is not very good news, if I'm honest. I'll show you that now. Just while I was labelling up a few of these cables, I've just found this and I'm thinking, tiny little pulley that's snapped off. I'm thinking that can't be off the cassette mech, it's too small to drive the belt. And then it sort of dawned on me that that's going to be one of the pulleys that the dial cord would run around, which is why the radio isn't working. I expect when we get in there we'll just find the cord sort of flapping around a bit, and clearly it's snapped, the pulley snapped that it goes around. So I don't think we're ever probably going to be able to fix it, to be honest. We'll have a look at it, but it may be that the radio is a goner on this one. We may be able to fabricate something in its place, but the thing is, the dial cord is such a it's under such a lot of tension, and obviously the cord itself rolls over these pulleys, and once they snap you tend to find that you can't really put them back together again very easily. So anyway, we'll keep hold of it for a minute. To be honest, this wasn't the one we were going to fix today anyway. We were only really trying to salvage the chassis from this. So let's get everything out and see what we've got. So speaker cable 1, speaker cable 2, like so. The condenser mic can come off here, hopefully. 1 and 2. Right, the VU meter off of there, and the VU meter positive off of here. Okay, then the main positive supply from the input. Trying to do this without melting the surrounding wires. The main negative supply is this one here. Ugh. Come on, that's it. Right, that might be everything. Right, it'll be time to start unscrewing everything and getting this out. Good, so we got all the cables away, that's good. Right, so basically, second verse same as the first, and this one is in equally nice condition, I think. So that should be okay. We'll be able to clean this one up and service this one quite nicely, I think. Good stuff. Right, okay, well that's the cassette mech. But the problem we've got isn't the cassette mech, it's the radio. So I'm just going to put the cassette bits to one side for a moment, slightly off camera, but there we go. Just keeping the screws kind of safe and tidy. Right, so in terms of the radio board, just going to mark them, in fact. One there, that's the longer one, plus there's one there, isn't there? The good thing when you're working on trying to make one good one out of two broken ones, the good thing is you've always got a reference from the other one. But of course, once you're into the second one, you run out of references. So if you don't make enough notes as you go, then if you make the same mistake twice, you're out of luck. Right, okay, so there's your 3 for the radio board. Because they are different lengths, you see, that one is longer, and then when we just got the mech out, this one was longer. Right, okay, just get these knobs off a minute. And I suspect what's happened is it's had a knock, probably had a knock on the side, and that's what's ended up breaking the another screw just there as well, actually. There we go. And I expect that's what's broken the pulley. Oh yeah, just need to desolder this capacitor from the shield there as well. Right, this should come away now with a bit of luck. Oh, no, another screw. It's slightly unsighted, that one. It's at the back and underneath, so there we go. Right, now she's going to come out, I think. Certainly not held in by much now. There she is. Okay. Right, so as before, there's the good chassis. Doesn't need much of a clean. We'll just dust that out in a minute. But yeah, happy with that. That's all good. But here is the offending radio board. It's such a shame. Everything else will be perfectly okay on this. And there you go. Unfortunately, there is the slack tuning cord. Oh, what a shame. So, where is it? You can see the tiny little pulley just by my finger. Tell you what, my tweezer's just there. And obviously another one just there. Another one there and there. So where has that snapped from? Just out of curiosity, really. Just want to see where it's broken from. I'm going to get the other one out as a sort of a reference point. So here's the one from the other unit. I'll be super careful with this one. Right, that one is present. That one, there it is. Okay, yeah, got no chance. So basically there's supposed to be two pulleys together just there, but unfortunately that one has snapped off just there. Oh, and that one there, it's right, oh, I say that, it's right by the tuner. It's going to be under a lot of stress. I wonder, that plastic looks quite thick. Do you know what? It might be good fun to see if we can repair that at some point. That'd be interesting. But anyway, listen, why we're here is to try and make a good one from the other two, isn't it? So first things first, I think I'm going to clean up the dusty chassis that was on the other one, get this radio board in where it's safe, and then we'll get on and service the cassette mech, get some new belts on it, get that in, and hopefully we should get a working model. Like I say, it's not too bad in here, but you've got 45 knocking on 50 years worth of dust, so I'm just gonna clean some of this up a minute. There's no point taking it apart and not going the extra mile. It's nice to know it's as clean on the inside as it is on the outside when it's finished. As I say, it's just a very, very, very faint layer of dust, but might as well do it, haven't we, eh? So I've just given that a wipe on the inside. Also just gently done the tuner window as well. Good stuff. It's quite interesting, just in case you ever do want to work on one of these, you've got the chassis screws are basically around the side here on the edges. So if I just bring that in for you, we've got one there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there looks like another one in the middle, and the two that join the handle on to the chassis as well. So you could take the whole sort of top section plastic part out and separate that from the side and front casing if you wanted to. It's quite hard sometimes when you've got all the mech and the amp board and the radio and everything in here. You can't always tell which ones are mounting which. Now JVC, especially in the sort of, I suppose, late 70s, early 80s in particular, used to colour code their screws. So one colour would be for the cassette mech and one colour would be for the radio board, etc. So you kind of knew what you're aiming for. But obviously when they're all just self-coloured or brass coloured screws, then you can't always tell which ones are which. So we've done this a bit by trial and error today, but in any event, we've got the radio board that we needed to get out, we've got the cassette mech out which we needed to do to service it, and we've also had a bit of a look around the chassis here. So you've got the power supply board there, filter caps, the fuse, there's your 8 ohm speaker just there. That's a 4-inch or 10cm speaker. We've got the VU meter just parked up in the side, the condenser mic there. Not a lot else to see really, so there she is anyways. And yeah, nice. Well, I'll give this a bit more of a clean, we'll get the radio board in, and then we'll focus on the cassette mech. And although I'll give the whole unit a final sort of deep clean and polish when it's all reassembled, it's quite nice to get in at this stage as well, it allows you to get right into the rebates and the places where the switches just wouldn't let you go. You know, normally when you've got switches and the buttons for the mechanism and all that sort of stuff, once they're in place you can't get into the nitty gritty sometimes, so you just got to get into all these little nooks and crannies, and there we go. Just give it a cursory clean whilst we can. We'll come back and give it a deep clean and a polish later, as I say, but it's just nice to get into the back of some parts whilst we can. Nice. Right, radio board then. Now I've just taken a picture of the old tuning cord arrangement. Obviously this is the good one that we're about to put back in, and at some point I may fix the other radio, so you can see where those two are by the tuner, those two pulleys there, by the actual sort of tuner dial. On this one we are of course missing one, so we've only got the one there. Now the rest of the sort of pathway is still visible because the cord is still there, but I thought if I just take a quick picture of how this part should go, then if I get the chance at some point to come back and fix the other one, I've got something to go on. Right, I've tried to drop a couple of bits of alcohol just down into the actual controls there for the tone and volume, and also just trying to work the switch here for the radio wavelength. You might just see that. Let's have a look. That seems to be working okay. Right, let's get this in, and we'll hope for the best, shall we? Right, get all the cables out of the way. Try and drop this in. Like so. Okay, well that's the 5 screws for the radio board. That's in nice and solid now, and we'll see that dial cord is moving in the window. You may or may not just see that going across there. So that's certainly an improvement on what we had before. So not much else we can do at this juncture. I could solder the cap back on just while I'm thinking about it. There we go. So that's all the connections made to the radio board, and yeah, good stuff. So next I think we'll park this to one side, decide which is the best cassette mech, strip that down, get that serviced, shall we? Let's go. Okay, well I've got the two mechs here. We've done quite well today. We've broken down both units and removed the radio boards and the cassette mechs, and as you've just seen, we've put the best radio board into the intact chassis and also given that a bit of a clean as well. So the next stage will be to clean one of the mechs and service it. We'll degrease, re-grease, rubber renew where we need to, new belts, clean the switches, all that kind of stuff. So I think what we'll do next is get one of these apart, get the belts sized and get those on order so we can go ahead and service the mech and get that back in. So I think that will do for today. So join me in part 2 when I do all of that. But thanks very much for watching. Please consider subscribing if not already, and check out my other videos. It'd be great to have you on board. So I'll see you soon. Take care. All the best for now. Bye bye.